Assalamu alaikum. For the students who are entering into 10th class and for the scholarship test of Prime the School of Excellence, this is the syllabus. Why do we fall ill? Health. Health is a state of being well enough to function well physically, mentally, and socially. Disease. Disturbed ease means being uncomfortable. One or more systems of the body will change, give rise to symptoms: cough, loose motions, pus formation, headache, fever, breathlessness, vomiting, fits, unconsciousness, inflammation, swelling, and general effects. A doctor look for the basis of symptoms. Diseases are basically two types: acute disease and chronic disease. Acute disease. The disease which lasts for only a short period of time is called acute disease. Example: common cold. Chronic disease. The disease which lasts for long period of time is called chronic disease. Example: tuberculosis. Acute disease. They are short duration disease. Patient recovers completely after the cure. There is no loss of weight or feeling of tiredness afterward. There is short duration loss of work and efficiency. Chronic disease. They are long lasting disease. Patient does not recover completely. There is often loss of weight of feeling of tiredness. There is a prolonged loss of work and efficiency. Causes of diseases. Most of the diseases have many causes rather than one single cause, like unclean water, nourishment, genetic differences, genetic abnormalities. Example: based on the causes, diseases are of two types: non infectious diseases and infectious diseases. Non infectious diseases, not caused by infectious agents, mostly internal, and non infectious cause. Example: cancer. Infectious diseases caused by infectious agents. Example: bacterial diseases caused. Example are typhoid, cholera, tuberculosis, acne, anthrax. Viral diseases: common cold, influenza, dengue fever, AIDS, Japanese encephalitis or brain fever. Fungal diseases: skin diseases, protozoan diseases, malaria, plasmodium, kala azar, leishmania, sleeping sickness, trypanosomes. Worm diseases: ascariasis, roundworm, elephantiasis, wuchereria. The infectious diseases spread by agents are called as communicable diseases. Airborne diseases: pneumonia, common cold, tuberculosis. Waterborne diseases: cholera, hepatitis. Sexual diseases: HIV, syphilis. Animal-borne disease: rabies. Principles of treatment. Antibiotics. Many bacteria make a cell wall to protect themselves. The antibiotic, example penicillin, blocks the bacterial process that builds cell wall and blocks the biochemical pathways. Antiviral medicine is harder than making antibacterial medicine because virus has only few biochemical mechanisms of their own. Other medicines bring down fever, reduce pain or loose motions. We can take bed rest to conserve energy. Principles of prevention. Following three limitations are normally confronted while treating an infectious disease. Once someone has a disease, their body functions are damaged and may never recover completely. Treatment will take time, which means that someone suffering from a disease is likely to be bedridden for some time, even if we can give proper treatment. The person suffering from an infectious disease can serve as the source from where the infection may spread to other people. General ways of preventing infectious disease. Airborne: we can prevent exposure by providing living conditions that are not overcrowded. Waterborne: prevent by providing safe drinking water. This is done by treating the water to kill any microbial contamination. vector borne. We can provide clean environment which would not allow mosquito breeding. Immunity. Even in cells, there is a repair mechanism called immunity. Immune cells manage to kill off the infectious agents. Smallpox disease is eliminated by developing memory cells for particular infection by mimics the microbes called vaccine. The basis of immunization: if you had smallpox once, there was no chance of suffering from it again. Proper nutrition is essential to maintain the body immunity. There are vaccines against tetanus, diphtheria, whooping cough, measles, polio, and many other diseases. Prevention of disease is better than cure. Hygiene is the basic key to maintain good health. Diversity in living organisms. Each organism is different from all other organisms. In this activity, we decide which characteristics are important in forming the desired category. Greek thinker Aristotle classified animals according to whether they live on land, in water, or in air. This classification is a landmark in ideology but has limitations. For example, animals that live in the sea include corals, whales, octopus, starfish, and shark. In fact, they are different from each other. Classification and evolution. Organisms are classified based on body design, hierarchy in developing relation to evolution. Charles Darwin first described the idea of evolution in 1859 in his book The Origin of Species. The biologists such as Haeckel, Whittaker, and Carl Woese tried to classify all living organisms into broad kingdoms. The Whittaker proposed five kingdoms: Monera, Protista, Fungi, Plantae, and Animalia. Carl Woese introduced by dividing Monera into Archaeobacteria and Eubacteria. Diagrammatical representation of animal kingdom. Hierarchy of classification. Linear system of classification. Kingdom followed by phylum, class, order, family, genus, species. Monera. They have unicellular prokaryotic organisms, do not have defined nucleus or organelles. The cell wall may or may not present. The mode of nutrition is autotrophic, synthesizing food on their own, or heterotrophic, getting food from environment. Example: bacteria, Anabina. Protista. They have unicellular eukaryotic organisms, do have well-defined nucleus or organelles. The body is covered by cilia, flagella for locomotion. The mode of nutrition is autotrophic or heterotrophic. Example: diatoms, protozoans. Fungi. These are multicellular eukaryotic organisms with cell wall made up of chitin. They do not perform photosynthesis, that is, they are heterotrophic. Saprophytic, derive nutrition from decaying material. Example: Aspergillus, Penicillium, mushroom, Rhizopus. The fungi living with algae forms lichen, symbiotic association. Plantae. These are multicellular eukaryotic organisms with cell wall made up of cellulose, able to perform photosynthesis. Autotrophic. Example: rice, wheat. Animalia. These are multicellular eukaryotic organisms without cell wall. They are not able to perform photosynthesis. Heterotrophic. Example: human beings, peacock. Details of kingdom Plantae. The kingdom Plantae is further classified as Thallophyta, Bryophyta, Pteridophyta, Gymnosperms, and Geosperms. Thallophyta. The plants do not have well-defined body design, commonly called as algae, mostly aquatic. Example: Spirogyra, Elothrix. Bryophyta. These are commonly called as the amphibians of kingdom. The plant body is differentiated into roots like, stem like, and leaf like structures. No specialized tissues for the conduction of water and food. Example, Marchantia finaria. Pteridophyta. These are commonly called as first vascular land plants. The plant body is differentiated into root, stem, and leaf. Specialized tissues for the conduction of water and food are developed in these plants. The reproductive organs are inconspicuous. Example, Marsilia fern. Special note: the reproductive organs are inconspicuous in Thallophyta, Bryophyta. Pteridophyta are can't develop seeds. They are together called as cryptogamy, non-flowering plants. The plants with well-differentiated reproductive organs and that ultimately make seeds are called phanerogams, flowering plants. This group is further classified gymnosperms bear naked seeds and angiosperms bear seeds inside fruit. Gymnosperms. These are commonly called as naked seed bearing plants. They are usually perennial, evergreen, and woody. Example, Pinus cycas. Angiosperms. These are commonly called as enclosed seed bearing plants. Plants with seeds having a single cotyledon are called as monocotyledons or monocots. Plants with seeds having two cotyledons are called as dicots. Example, Hypomia and Paphiopedium. Details of the kingdom Animalia. These are eukaryote, multicultural, and heterotrophic. They are further classified as non-chordates, Porifera, Coelenterata, Platyhelminthes, Nematoda, Annelida, Arthropoda, Mollusca, Echinodermata, and chordates, Protochordata, Vertebrata, Pisces, amphibians, reptilia, aves, mammalia. Non-chordates, Porifera. The word porifera means organisms with holes. The canal system helps in circulating water, food, oxygen. They are non-motile with cellular level of organization and mainly marine organisms with hard outer coat called as skeleton. They are commonly called as sponges. Example, Spongilla, Trichon. Coelenterata. The word coelenterata means organisms with body cavity called coelenteron. They are radially symmetrical, diploblastic, two layers of cells commonly called as cnidarians. Stinging cells for protection are present in the body. Example, Hydra, C. anemone. Platyhelminthes. The word platyhelminthes means organisms with flatworms, dorsocentrally flattened. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, three layers of cells, either free living or parasitic. No true coelom is present. Acoelomates. Example, planaria, free living, tapeworm, parasitic. Nematoda. The word nematoda means organisms with roundworms. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastics, three layer of cells, familiar with parasitic worms. The false coelom is called as pseudocoelom. Example, Ascaris wuchereria. Filarial worm causes elephantiasis. Annelida. The word annelida means organisms with metameric segmented. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, three layers of cells with closed circulatory system, familiar with earthworms. The coelom is called as true coelom. Example, Nereis, earthworm, leech. Arthropoda. The word arthropoda means organisms with jointed legs. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, three layers of cells, familiar with cockroaches. The coelom is blood filled, called as hemocoelom. Example, prawn, scorpion, housefly. Mollusca. The word mollusca means organisms with soft body. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, three layers of cells, familiar with octopus. Pila, foot is for moving, kidney like organ for excretion with open circulatory system. Example, Unio, chiton. Echinodermata. The word echinodermata means organisms with spiny skinned exoskeleton is with calcium carbonate. They are radially symmetrical, triploblastic, three layers of cells with coelomic cavity. Familiar with starfish. They are exclusively free-living marine animals. Example, sea cucumber, feather star. Chordates. They are further classified as two major groups such as Protochordata and Vertebrata. Protochordata, notochord present in at least larval forms but very rudimentary. It is a rod-like supporting structure runs along with nervous tissue from the gut of animal. They are bilaterally symmetrical triploblastic, three layers of cells with a coelom. Familiar with amphioxus, example Belanoglossus. Vertebrata. Notochord is replaced by vertebral column and internal skeleton. They are bilaterally symmetrical, triploblastic, coelomic, and segmented, having paired gill pouches. Vertebrates are grouped into five classes. Pisces. These are commonly called as fishes, exclusively aquatic. Body is streamlined and a tail for locomotion, gills for respiration. Heart is two-chambered, cold-blooded. Skin is covered with scales, plates. They are cold-blooded animals. Skeleton of bone, rohu, cartilage, shark. They lay eggs. Example, lionfish, dogfish, amphibians. These are commonly called as amphibians because they can live on land and in water. Body is streamlined and a webbed foot or foot for locomotion. Gills or lungs or skin for respiration. Heart is three-chambered. Cold-blooded. Skin is lack of scales, plates. They are cold-blooded animals. They lay eggs. Example, rana, hyla. Reptilia. These are commonly called as reptilians. A lung for respiration, heart is three-chambered, crocodile heart is four-chambered, skin have scales, they are cold-blooded animals, they lay eggs. Example, snakes, turtles. Aves. These are commonly called as birds. A lung for respiration, heart is four-chambered, forelimbs are modified for flight, skin has feathers, they are warm-blooded animals. They lay eggs. Example, ostrich, flightless bird, pigeon, sparrow, mammalia. These are commonly called as animals with mammary glands for producing milk to nourish their young ones. A lung for respiration, heart is four-chambered, skin has hairs, sweat or oil glands. They are warm-blooded animals. They lay eggs. Platypus echidna give birth to young ones poorly developed kangaroo and give birth to developed young ones human beings. Example, lion, whale, bat. Details of nomenclature. The system of scientific naming or nomenclature was introduced by Carolus Linnaeus. It is a unique way to identify in the world. We limit ourselves to writing the names of the genus and species of that particular organism. The world over, it has been agreed that both these names will be used in Latin forms. When printed in is given in italics and when written by hand, the genus and the species name have to be underlined separately. Example, ostrich common name, Struthiocamelus scientific name with two parts, namely genus and species. Natural resources. The biosphere is the life supporting zone of the earth with three subzones called as lithosphere, rock part, atmosphere, air part, and hydrosphere, water part. Breath of air, composition of air. You can see in the diagram nitrogen 78%, oxygen 20.9%, argon gases 0.90%, and carbon dioxide 0.03 percentage, and other gases 0.17 percentage. The interactions between different components of the biosphere to maintain the balance between the biotic and abiotic component makes biogeochemical cycle. Example, water cycle, nitrogen cycle, carbon cycle, oxygen cycle. Role of atmosphere in climate control. Atmosphere act as a protective blanket for the earth. Since atmosphere is a bad conductor of heat, it keeps the average temperature of the earth constant. At night, it slows down the escape of heat into outer space. The movement of air, the atmosphere gets heated from the radiation that is reflected back by the land or water bodies. As a result of heating, convection currents are set up in the air. Since land gets heated faster than water, the air over land gets heated faster than air above water bodies. In coastal regions, during the day, the air above the land gets heated faster and starts rising. So, a region of low pressure is created and air over sea moves into this area of low pressure. The movement of air from one region to the other region causes wind. During the day, the direction of wind would be from the sea to the land, and at night, both land and sea starts to cool. Since water cools down slower than the land, the air above water would be warmer than air above land. Thus, the direction of wind would be from the land to the sea. Air pollution. It is an undesirable change in the physical, chemical, or biological characteristics. It is caused due to an increase in the content of harmful substances, pollutant, such as oxides of nitrogen and sulfur, etc. Harmful effect of air pollution. It affects the respiratory system, causing breathing difficulties. Example: bronchitis, asthma, lung cancer, tuberculosis, etc. Burning of fossil fuels like coal and petroleum releases oxides of nitrogen and sulfur. Inhalation of these gases is dangerous. Combustion of fossil fuel also increases the amount of suspended particles in air. The presence of high levels of all these pollutants reduce visibility in cold weather, where water also condenses out of air, forming smog. Acid rain, formed from the gases like sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxides present in polluted air. It causes damage to living and non-living things. The water cycle, the process in which water evaporates and falls on the land as rain and later flows back into the sea via rivers, is known as the water cycle. Water flows through rocks containing soluble minerals. Some of them get dissolved in the water. Thus, the rivers carry many nutrients from the land to sea, and these are used by the marine organisms. When the water vapors condense as water droplets and grow big and heavy, they fall down in the form of rain. It ranges from 5 centimeter to 200 centimeter of rainfall in a year in our country. In large parts of India, rains are mostly brought by southwest or northeast monsoons. Depressions in the Bay of Bengal may also cause rains in some areas. Water is a wonderful liquid because all cellular processes take place in a water medium. Substances are transported in a dissolved form. Terrestrial forms require fresh water to maintain the equilibrium of salts, major resource to determine the life on the earth. The dissolved fertilizers, NPK fertilizers, pesticides, DDT, sewage, disease causing organism, waste from factories, mercury, and water released from the dams can affect the life forms on the earth. The dissolved oxygen is being used by the animals and plants that live in water would adversely affect the aquatic organisms. The change in temperature would be dangerous for the eggs and larvae of the various animals, particularly susceptible to temperature changes. It leads to water pollution. Nitrogen cycle. The nitrogen gas makes up 78% of our atmosphere. It is essential for the synthesis of proteins, DNA, RNA, urea, alkaloids, and vitamins. The simple molecular nitrogen from the atmosphere is converted into more complex molecules in the living beings and back again to atmosphere is called nitrogen cycle. Nitrogen fixation by lightning. During lightning, the molecular nitrogen is converted into oxides of nitrogen and dissolves in water to give nitric and nitrous acids and fall on lands along with rains. These are then utilized by various life forms. Nitrogen fixation by bacteria. The molecular nitrogen is converted into nitrates and nitrites by free living bacteria or the bacteria present in the root nodules of legumes. The conversion of molecular nitrogen into nitrates and nitrites is called as nitrification. Plants generally convert them into amino acids. The conversion of nitrates and nitrites into ammonia is called as ammonification. The conversion of ammonia into molecular nitrogen is called as denitrification. Thereby, nitrates and nitrites are converted into molecular or elemental nitrogen in the nature. The carbon cycle. The carbon dioxide gas makes up 0.039% of our atmosphere. Carbon occurs in the elemental form as diamonds and graphite in earth. Carbon is essential for the synthesis of proteins, carbohydrates, fats, nucleic acids and vitamins in living organisms. The carbon dioxide fixation. Green plants convert carbon dioxide into glucose in the presence of sunlight through photosynthesis. The glucose molecules are converted into other biologically important molecules, and many marine animals use carbonates dissolved in seawater to make shells, exoskeletons. The combustion. The carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is added by the process of combustion, where fuels are burned to provide energy for various needs like heating, cooking, transportation, and industrial process. The greenhouse gas effect. The percentage of carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is said to have doubled since the Industrial Revolution, when human beings started burning fossil fuels on a very large scale. The carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. The increase in the carbon dioxide content would cause more heat to be retained by the atmosphere and lead to global warming. It is called greenhouse gas effect. The carbon cycle is repeated through different physical and biological activities. Oxygen cycle. The oxygen gas makes up 21% of our atmosphere. Oxygen is essential component of proteins, carbohydrates, fats, nucleic acids in living organisms. Oxygen from our atmosphere is used as up in three processes, namely combustion, respiration, and the formation of oxides of nitrogen. Oxygen is returned to the atmosphere in only one major process, that is photosynthesis. It is called as oxygen cycle. The air is heated faster than water. The air over land would also be heated faster than the air over water bodies. The movement of air from one region to the other creates winds. During the day, the direction of the wind would be from sea to land. At night, both land and sea start to cool. The oxides of nitrogen and sulfur gases dissolved in rain to give rise to acid rains. The smog is a visible indication of air pollution. The pollutants bring respiratory, cardiac problems, and allergies. The organisms called lichens are found on the bark of trees. They are indicators of pollution-free environment. Three atoms of oxygen is called as ozone. The ozone is poisonous but absorbs harmful radiations from the sun. The ozone layer around the earth, if dwindles further away, may cause health hazards including cancers. Recently discovered the ozone hole in the region of Antarctica.